Hello, my name is Ivana Uwade, and I'm the creator of the Facebook group page JK Lifestyle and Travel. Today, we're meeting with Jane Nichols. She's associated with the Narcotics Anonymous World Services. Hi, how you doing today, Jane?
I'm good, Yvonne. Nice to be here with you from my computer room. That is.
Well, I'm glad you're here in any form. Okay, I wanted to know, can you tell me how long you've been associated with the NA World Services organization?
Yes, in August of 2004, I celebrated 16 years of being with NA World Services.
Mhm,
I moved from Connecticut and left another job to go here.
mhm. What made you come to this organization?
Well, I had been a volunteer for a number of years since 1989
Mhm,
to 2004. And I was quite honestly tired of flying from the East Coast to the West Coast several times a year for board meetings or
mhm,
committee meetings. And so I decided that this is what I wanted to do.
mhm.
I love what the organizational goals are. I mean, in a nutshell, it's to help any addict worldwide
Mhm.
find recovery in their language and culture.
Mhm.
So that touches my heart to this day. It's what gives me passion to continue day after day.
What are the goals of your organization?
Well, basically, that is the main goal. And then another goal is we try to get literature into the hands of members who request it from the office.
Mhm,
We also provide NA recovery literature to emerging communities. I'll use Africa as an example, the continent. They cannot afford to buy literature, not yet. So we ship them literature and we give it to them. And that's true for parts of Asia.
mhm,
Many countries in Asia are not financially stable yet. So we give it to them. So anyone who needs literature, if they ask, we do our best to give it to them.
mhm,
And we do our best to carry the message. We go to when we were able to, but today Zoom's working pretty good. Um, go provide workshops. Many emerging communities do not know how to do the basic services. They haven't done it. So we provide them with workshops
Like a
and
type of
help them. Excuse
training,
me?
training
Training for them,
on
yes.
how to conduct the meetings that would help the addicts recover.
Well, we usually do that right off first. First it's meetings and giving them the group reading cards and helping them facilitate. But then there's PR that comes in, public relations,
Mhm,
because the members need to let the community know there are meetings free of charge because there are no dues or fees
mhm,
here at this church usually or school
mhm,
or community hall. So they have to put those signs up so they let their community know.
mhm,
And then members come, and that's where they have the meeting. But
mhm,
then another part of it is informing professionals, because by informing professionals that NA meetings are here in the community to help your patients, clients continue their recovery, that's how NA starts growing in communities. And then we can continue to help them develop their fellowship.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really, it touches my heart dearly, if you want to know the truth.
Mhm.
And we create literature based on what the delegates from the conference it gets want prioritized through the membership.
Mhm.
So we are the only creators of the literature. We're the sole publisher of NA literature.
Mhm. Do you have to be an addict to attend the meetings? Who are some of the type of people that will attend your meetings?
Well, addicts certainly. They attend meetings, and they come from all walks of life. I'd
Mhm.
like to say, when people think there's a stereotype,
Mhm.
there isn't. You have Hollywood A-listers, you have musicians, you have doctors, there's a lot of lawyers, regular citizens.
Mhm.
The addiction doesn't discriminate on social class.
Mhm.
So addicts attend meetings, and they can attend closed or open meetings.
Mhm.
And open meetings often, young people, as an example, 14, 17, 16, um, may become addicted, or who knows if they're addicted or not. But if they want to come to a meeting, often a family member wants to come
Mhm.
so they can see what a meeting is and is it safe for their child. So they come. A lot of times, students of social work and nursing attend meetings. Professionals who work with addicts attend meetings.
Mhm.
Judges may attend a meeting because they often sentence people in the drug court system. And that all happens in open meetings.
Mhm. You know something, you made a point when we were talking earlier, and I asked you to remember it. You said something about a want or a need.
Oh, meetings are for those who want it, not need it. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people of society that we may pass on the street corner and go, oh, you really could use a meeting.
Mhm.
But if that person prefers being on the street corner and not attending a meeting, then that's where they're going to stay, regardless of what they need. And initially, when people first come to a meeting from a treatment center, from parole, probation, drug court, out of prison,
Mhm.
they may need to attend to fulfill something, an order, a
Mhm.
court order.
Mhm.
The aim is that by attending long enough, you end up realizing this is where you want to be and you can build a life without using drugs.
Mhm. How long is the normal length of time that people will attend these meetings?
Well, there's no graduation date.
Okay, I was going to say, especially for them to be successful. Is it just?
There is no graduation. It's once you become part of the NA,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying this is true for 100%. I don't know what happens to them when they decide they don't need meetings anymore.
Mhm.
But for once you become a part of and you attend meetings, you actually come to realize, I like what I am. I like what I have today. I'm, respectable, productive member of this society, and I don't want to lose that. So if I go to meetings, that will help me keep it. So people don't want to risk what they have, because all they have to do is remember, ooh, I don't want that. So they keep going. A lot of times, except during the pandemic, because more people went to more meetings than usual.
Mhm.
Um, but many times, the longer a person is not using drugs, years, someone with 20 years of complete abstinence may go to less meetings than someone with 2 years,
Mhm.
but they still regularly attend meetings.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people with 20 years would like to go to a convention because they get to see all their friends that they don't see anymore because everyone's lives got busy.
Mhm. What makes a person turn into an addict?
That's $1 million, probably $5 million question, Yvonne.
Mhm.
There's no one in this research world has been able to solve that puzzle.
Mhm.
There's lots of theories. Oh, it's genetic. But then you have plenty of members there is no alcohol or drug abuse in their um, family line.
Mhm.
Some will say it's they're lacking spiritual, emotional well-being. So when they get accepted into another group because they didn't get it in their home life and they want to fit and belong, then they'll, join that group. But
Mhm.
there's not one definitive. No one honestly knows on the face of the earth. There's theories,
Mhm.
and I'm sure part of the theories, some of it could all be blended together, but it still doesn't make what makes an addict.
Mhm. Is it a lifelong struggle to stay clean?
Usually, no.
Mhm.
The obsession and compulsion to use drugs at some point in recovery is lifted.
Mhm.
Some people, it takes longer than other, members for it to lift.
Mhm.
But once it's lifted, it doesn't consume you all the time. It's not like someone's thinking, oh dear, I got to sit on my hands. I better call somebody,
Mhm.
that doesn't stay forever. It becomes a way of life through meetings, through sponsorship, um, that the obsession and compulsion isn't present every day. However, it can come back at any time.
Mhm.
And that's why in NA's literature, it talks about we only keep what we have with vigilance.
Mhm.
So I cannot take it for granted that, obsession and compulsion will never come back again,
Mhm.
nor probably get complacent.
What happens at the NA meetings?
At NA meetings, oh, well, first, everyone, generally speaking, when they're face to face, this year is virtual.
Okay. Mhm.
So face to face, you go into a meeting, there's usually a door greeter. They're welcoming everybody, and NA likes to give hugs. Welcome, they give you a hug. And then when the meeting starts,
Mhm.
it's open with the serenity prayer, kind of settles the room, focuses everyone. And then there's usually readings from the leader of the meeting,
Mhm.
language use, no crosstalk. And then goes on to ask if anyone's here for their first meeting.
Mhm.
And if it's their first meeting, they're encouraged to go up and get a key tag, and they're welcomed. And probably in some meetings, giving a list of names to be able to call, men with men, women with women.
Mhm.
And then key tags are given for 30 days of abstinence, 60, 90, 6 months, 9 months, a year. That's a big hoopla. And then yearly after that.
Mhm.
And then there's readings that are read at every meeting.
What
Most meetings,
what type of
mhm,
readings? Inspirational readings or what type of readings?
grounding readings, like who's an addict? Most of us don't have to think twice about this question. We know,
Okay.
then it goes on, so they ground you.
Okay.
And this 12 steps are basically the program of recovery. It's in the steps. That's how a person changes.
Mhm.
and the 12 traditions are read, and they're the principles that help us in our interaction with each other in business meetings and everyday life.
Mhm.
So they're read, and then whoever is going to lead the meeting, it may be a speaker meeting where someone shares their experience, strength, and hope.
Mhm.
And then there's usually time for discussion afterwards.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a literature study meeting where you read a chapter or a paragraph or two, and then the group has discussion, what they heard in that and what applies to them. Or it could be a step meeting and you share your experiences, say, with the first step. But it's geared to recovery. It's
Mhm.
not really a lot of using drugs conversations.
Mhm.
Granted, when it's a speaker meeting, what they do, a speaker may quote unquote, what we term qualify.
Mhm.
So they state, this is my drug, this is my path, and where it brought me. But then it's not brought up again.
Mhm.
It's not raised. Um, and that's the basic format for meetings. And then they close with another prayer, usually NA's third step prayer, or the serenity prayer again. And they run anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes.
Mhm. How would an addict find where an NA meeting would be held?
Well, it depends on where they live,
Mhm.
because most geographic areas where members live, and they don't necessarily go by Newark, New Jersey area. They create their own name, so it's not always useful to a layperson trying to find.
Mhm.
But anyone could always write www.na.org/meeting.
Mhm.
And when you come to that page, you enter your area code,
Mhm.
and up will pop a bunch of local websites.
Mhm.
And you hit the one closest to your town, and you'll see schedule a meeting.
Mhm. Jane,
Yes.
thank you. A lot of information, a lot of good information.
Yeah, and if your audience wants any more, they could always write PR@na.org. If they even want a piece of literature to get a better understanding, if they have a family member they're concerned about,
Mhm.
they write PR@na.org. I'll be happy to send one to them.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that I put that down underneath this video.
Okay, perfect.
I know there's a lot that I don't have the knowledge to bring up, but
The only thing that I would, with young, I'm going to say this and you put it in or take it out, okay?
okay.
With young people, sometimes parents are fearful because all of a sudden their child, even if they're 17 or 18, so life is busy. They're going to meetings. So they're still going out, and family members need to understand in the beginning, recovering person probably is beneficial to go to as many meetings as they can to develop a new support group. Because one of the ideas is you leave your using friends behind
Mhm.
and you meet people in recovery.
Mhm.
And the other is sponsorship. That's highly encouraged.
Mhm.
And a sponsor is analogous to a mentor. Someone who stayed clean longer than you are, who've been in recovery longer, and of the same sex. And they share their experience because in the beginning, when you're first reliving life, without drugs or alcohol, you don't know how to do it as successful. Everything is a big, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? And it's really simple, but you haven't ever done it without drugs or alcohol.
Mhm.
So your sponsor will help walk you through it. And that's what their experience in living life without the use of drugs is meant to mentor the new person.
Mhm.
And just in case your audience is curious, the name of the organization is Narcotics Anonymous,
Mhm.
but that is not, that's misleading in the sense not everyone who goes to NA is a narcotic addict.
Mhm.
In 1953, when NA was formed, everything, including marijuana, was classified as narcotic. So it was the name that stayed.
Mhm.
But if we have a membership survey, and cocaine, heroin, marijuana, alcohol is the #1 drug used on a regular basis. See, I mean, as the literature said, alcohol is the oldest drug known to man.
Mhm.
So it's just so anyone gets doesn't get misled by the name.
Okay.
NA is open to anyone regardless of your drugs used. I think that's all I can think of to throw in.
Valuable. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jane.
You're welcome. Glad I was able to be here.
I'm just so glad because um, I just feel like there are certain topics that really need to be talked about.